to me before. They want some severe penalty, both in Canada and the United States, to send a message to cannabis activists.
When do you start serving time?
Could be as soon as 30 to 60 days from now.
And when will you know?
Well, I'll know as soon as negotiations are complete. They're in the midst of it now with the Canadian Prosecutorial Service and U.S. Justice Department and my lawyers.
You have to have a little trepidation about going to prison?
No, I'll tell you why. Because for 17 years I've been leading this revolution to legalize marijuana. There are no victims here. No one's complaining after a decade of selling these seeds. We gave away over $4 million to activist groups trying to bring peaceful democratic change about. So I'm very proud of my legacy. I'm not repentant in any way. I'm not contrite. I'd do more if I could. And I'm really looking forward to doing more when I get out after 5 years.
Well, if you're not contrite, do you believe that you've been prosecuted for selling seeds, or are you being prosecuted because you've made this a political issue?
Oh, well, there's hundreds of seed vendors in Canada, many of whom have been selling to the Americans for years and years, and none of them give their money away to any kind of political activities. All my money went to political activities. There was no other purpose to raise this money other than for political activities. So I've never owned an apartment, a property, a bond, a stock, bank accounts of any kinds. I have no assets. I never had any assets. The whole purpose was to raise money for the movement, and we did that very successfully, and we've created quite a worldwide movement as a consequence.
So what do you think of the current laws concerning marijuana in Canada today?
Well, clearly no law should ever punish people in a free and democratic society for a peaceful, honest lifestyle. And to me, it's just like choosing to be a Christian or a homosexual or any number of choices we make. A religious person. Smoking marijuana alters your consciousness so that you look at the world differently. And I think a fundamental aspect of being human is being able to put things into your body and finding out how that affects your mind and what decisions you can make about religion, about philosophy, about your life and family from those decisions. So marijuana smoking is peaceful and honest. It should be protected. No one should ever go to jail for anything to do with marijuana.
And what if it's self-destructive?
Well, of course, people are entitled as adults in a free and democratic society to do things that are self-destructive and to be responsible for their own actions. And I think all marijuana people would like to be responsible for their own actions. We certainly don't see harm in what we do. We don't want to deal with Hell's Angels. We don't want to deal with organized crime gangs. We want to be able to buy it in a calculated, government-approved facility and go home and take our marijuana and be able to smoke it in peace. And I think that should seem reasonable to anybody.
And yet, by continuing the habit, any Canadian is in fact supporting the Hells Angels and the biker gangs and organized crime.
Oh, you've reversed cause and effect. In fact, it's the government's policy of prohibition that's created organized crime. So anybody who advocates prohibition, like the Conservative Party is doing and the Liberal Party has done, is advocating the continued dominance of organized crime over the distribution of these goods. I'm, in fact, advocating that government take the initiative and put these in regulated and controlled facilities so everybody knows what's going on, taxes are collected, laws are obeyed, and everybody is in a win-win situation, including both the cannabis consumer and those people who don't consume cannabis.
Mark, what do you think about this decision, this recent court case that Alan Young was involved in against Health Canada? Do you think it's bringing us closer to changing the way marijuana is viewed in this country and the way the laws are?
Well, only 2,000 Canadians have those permits, so it's really a relevant bit of federal law that's been altered for 2,000 people. The rest of Canadians, including the 400,000 Alan referenced, aren't going to be any better off because they don't have a permit to legally possess and they can't legally designate anyone to grow for them unless they have that permit. So for a few places like Island Harvest in Comox Valley in British Columbia, they're going to be growing for 30 or 40 people. It'll be a lot cheaper, about $50 an ounce instead of the government's $150 an ounce. It'll be better product, but it'll be something that benefits a very small number of people in this country.
Well, thanks for being with us tonight, Mark. Good luck in your negotiations.
Thank you.
Legalizing pot, a volatile economy, should make for a pretty interesting round table. Coming up, radio host Christy Clark and Andrew Crystal. Join us when the verdict returns.
Hi, I'm Robert Melamede, PhD. I'm an associate professor at the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs in the biology department. And I'm a very strong advocate for the use of medical marijuana for a whole lot of reasons, but all of them, in fact, other than my own personal experiences, are truly science-based. So that today we live in a world where we have a tremendous amount of knowledge about not only body in general and how it works, but how the marijuana-like compounds, endocannabinoids, that we all produce wind up regulating literally everything in our body. So all of our body systems, our digestive system, respiratory system, immune system, reproductive system, nervous system, and anything I forgot, all of those are involved in a balancing act between what essentially amounts to pro-inflammatory biochemistry and anti-inflammatory biochemistry. And those are held in check as they go back and forth. You have an inflammation because you have an infection, you got to pull that back so that you're no longer in that inflamed state. And that's what one of the many things that your endocannabinoid system participates in turning down these inflammatory responses. And there's tremendous amount of significance to that, because 100 years ago, when we lived in a much dirtier environment with less options with respect to certain kinds of medicines, like antibiotics, because they were not available, under those conditions, people were dying at a younger age, and they were dying predominantly from from infectious diseases. Today, what we're dying from are age-related diseases, of which free radicals are believed to be one of the fundamental ideological components. In other words, free radicals are thought to be responsible for aging. So that it turns out that inflammation and free radicals kind of go hand in hand. They're part of the same biochemistry. And the way our bodies turn down that response is by the use of endocannabinoids, these marijuana-like compounds that we produce from essential fatty acids. We all hear how essential fatty acids are important for your health and for protecting your heart. What's not mentioned is that they are converted into endocannabinoids, and we know that endocannabinoids protect your heart and have all sorts of other health benefits. So, you know, we just need such a higher new degree of education, and it's not happening sufficiently, certainly in our schools. I probably teach one of the only courses on endocannabinoids and medical marijuana in the country. And yet we're dealing with something that's so fundamental to all of our lives, to how we work, and to conditions where we have imbalances. We all suffer a common imbalance. We're all getting older. So these age-related illnesses come as a result of the accumulation of these inflammatory conditions, so to speak, until the weakest link in our individual chain breaks, and that becomes an illness that we have to then deal with. And here you have this plant that can be grown very effectively and inexpensively, that has components, some of which are of profound medical value, that don't even get you high, but they're still illegal because of some totally undivine wisdom here. So we have to make some significant changes. We have to be able to use these plant materials in combination, because it's the whole milieu that has an impact. What you want to do with changing towards health is impact not just one little place, but you want to impact the whole system and move the whole body towards health. And the way these cannabinoids work on so many different levels within your biochemistry, within your organized systems, it's how they culminate to help move an individual towards health. You know, the fact that they're involved in your sleeping, your eating, your appetite, you know, your reproductive behavior, everything that's positive is tuned with these things. And it's just insane what's going on. That this is not readily available, that people get arrested for it, people get put in jail, and we have to pay for the special privilege of getting permits so that we can get our medicine. This is just something's fundamentally wrong. Time for a change.
The time is now, my friends. It's time to make change. Don't let change just be something that we wish for it to happen. You gotta create change. You gotta take action to make it happen. Go to henryhemp.com. Check out some information. Go to my friend jackharrer.com. Go to his website. Get his amazing book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. This is the book that can help you be awakened to the truths. The truths of the stuff that'll help save the planet. Hemp is that truth. It's really cool that marijuana is going to be legal. I know, nationwide eventually it'll be treated like alcohol, 21 and older. That initiative is now on the ballot for California here. So the next time we vote, that's what we'll be voting for. So cool, man. Marijuana is going to be legal. Not just for medicine, but for recreational. And there ain't nothing wrong with that.